Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello. Hello, Kelly. How's it going? Is it working? All right. Is that enough? Okay.
There we go. All right, my bad. Morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know it's just before a long weekend, so everybody's anxious to get on with their day so they can hasten the weekend. But before we begin our relatively short agenda today, I wanted to start, before we begin our committee proceedings today, to take a moment to recognize a special individual who has epitomized community spirit, volunteerism, and caring for others. And I'd like to ask our Fire Chief, John DeHooge, who's with us today, to come up and join me for this. This individual's compassion and commitment have been a big contributor to the well-being of both the mind and spirit of the Ottawa Fire Service, and that individual is Mr. Pat Kelly. Patrick is a former high school teacher who took the opportunity in retirement to embark upon a new career. He went back to school and became a counselor and then opened up a private practice. Mr. Kelly now works for a firm that specializes in psychological trauma. In addition to his work at the firm, Pat has also volunteered to provide assistance with mental health-related concerns to the Ottawa Fire Service. As a certified Canadian counselor, he started his volunteer services as a team member of the Ottawa Fire Service's Ottawa Valley Critical Incident Stress Management Team. He dedicates his services to help OFS health professionals with post-incident stress management and post-traumatic stress disorder within the service. He has also been an integral member in helping lead group intervention diffusing and debriefings. Pat is involved in providing his professional expertise in developing mental health programs and trainings within the Ottawa Fire Service. However, Mr. Kelly not only extended a helping hand for mental health services, but he also participates with the Ottawa Fire Service at the community events. Without hesitation, Pat had volunteered to help with the annual Toy Mountain Parade, Salvation Army Rehab Van, and other fundraising events. Mental health is an issue that is no longer hidden away or talked about in a whisper. Thankfully, today, society has come together to talk about mental health openly and ensure that a helping hand is more visible and accessible when needed. And that's why we're extremely grateful for the unselfish and invaluable service provided by Pat to the Ottawa Fire Service these many years. As many of you may know, and certainly our chief can attest to this, firefighting, like any other emergency response service, is a challenging profession, both physically and mentally. The demands of wear and tear can result in physical pain and injury. However, some of the calls and scenes can be graphic, traumatic, and cause altogether another kind of painful injury. And that's the mental health trauma, which is often invisible and often silent. Like a body wound, professional help and expertise can help heal this injury as well. And it's dedicated and compassionate and caring people like Pat Kelly, who are also heroes and making a difference in people's lives. So Pat, this morning, on behalf of my council colleagues, on behalf of the Ottawa Fire Service and the residents of the City of Ottawa, we want to thank you for your volunteer work, your expertise, and your services. The chief tells me that you're not just considered a volunteer with the fire service, but they're proud to call you an important member of their team as well. So folks, if you join me for a moment, and Pat, if you'd come up, I think the chief has something for you, and we'd like to take a moment to offer a round of applause to you.
On behalf of Ottawa Fire Services, I want to thank you so very much for being part of our team and helping so many of our members over these past years. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want to say something? You don't have to, but you're certainly welcome to.
I'm overwhelmed. And as I said to the chief, it's been an honor and a privilege, even though I have threatened to retire and retire again at 72. Should the need ever be required, any of us who do this work, and most of us do it pro bono, will be there for the city and the citizens of Ottawa, as well as all of our first responders. Thank you for this honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Here, you get in the middle. You're the man in the So they told me they didn't know you were getting this thing. No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, folks. Well, good morning, and thank you again for joining us this morning. We're going to get underway, and I know we have a relatively light agenda this morning, but I would remind any speakers who come forward to please use the microphones in front of you. These meetings are captured electronically in their webcast, so using the mic ensures that we can capture all of your great comments for posterity. We're going to move through, we do have some regrets this morning from Councillor Holmes and Councillor Vice Chair Caudry. They were unable to join us, so we'll move through a quick consent agenda. Councillor DeRoche has joined us as well for one of the particular items, and I know he has a few comments to offer when we get to that. So with that, members of the committee, are there any declarations of interest this morning? Nope. Thank you. Call for confirmation of the minutes, minutes 31, February 20th, 2014. Carried? Carried. Carried. Thank you. Communications, we've received in a response to inquiry CC 1713 accessibility issues when renovating city recreation facilities. Under the city manager's office, city clerk and solicitor department, number 1, status update, Community and Protective Services Committee inquiries and motions for the period ending 10 April 2014. This has been circulated previously. We're being asked to receive this report. Received? Thank you very much. Item number 2, commemorative naming, Footguards Park, Gloucester South Nepean. We're being asked to recommend that Council approve the proposal to name the new park at 226 Leamington Way Footguards Park. Members of the committee, is this carried? And now, with the committee's indulgence, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the committee for their support of this item, as well as the Commemorative Naming Committee. I want to take this opportunity to recognize in the gallery Chief Warrant Officer David Schneider. He is the Regimental Sergeant-Major, and I'd ask him just to stand to be recognized. Thank you for coming today. I want to also thank Lieutenant Colonel McLean, who couldn't be here today, who we have been working very closely with. As you know, the Foot Guards have an important part of our city and are really part of our brand. They are very popular with the tourists, and the regiment, of course, is part of our reserve force, and many of the members are very active in our community and have been part of a number of important missions over the history of our country. So I thank the committee for the support. I thank Chief Schneider for being here today, and look forward to this being approved at Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you for your continued support. You've always been a big supporter of our armed forces, from recruits all the way to legionnaires and veterans, so thank you very much. With that carried, item number 3, the last item on our formal agenda, Youth Summit Action Plan Update. We do have a staff presentation with a small introduction, and then Councillor Fleury, I believe, has an introduction as well to that item. So if the staff would like to come forward and get underway as soon as they're ready, please.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. On behalf of Aaron Burry, the General Manager of Community and Social Services, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank Mayor Watson and Councillor Fleury for their leadership and support for the Youth Summit Action Plan. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize the hard work of staff, and in particular, Colleen Hendrick, who's not here today, Claire Friere, Lisa Petch, Gloria Gabriel, and Nadine Jodoin in the implementation and monitoring of the Youth Summit Action Plan. At this time, I'd like to ask Councillor Fleury to introduce the presentation and our speakers today.
Well, thank you. We were all together earlier this week for the launch of the youth portal, and I'm sure there'll be some section here on the slide deck, but if not, I'm sure Sarah or Gabrielle will share with us their thought on the launch. Wanted to maybe go back a year when we were hosting the Youth Summit Action Plan at City Hall. It was an amazing event where more than 200 kids came to City Hall across different age groups, different parts of the city, different interests, and we were really able to share their thoughts on our city. Meet different department heads, different city operations, le occasion vraiment de partager ce qui va bien, mais aussi où sont certains obstacles, certaines barrières pour les jeunes d'accéder les services de la ville. That leads me to some of the youth engagement groups that we have. So we went from having the Youth Commission, now we have Youth Ottawa, but we also have the Youth Summit Action Plan group that is renamed through the willingness of the youth that are engaged to the Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee. And it's a committee, but I really have to say it's an amazing area, an amazing time where youth have the opportunity to meet with staff, to share their thoughts on the city. But also, one of the initiatives that we recently did was the tour bus. We went to visit different city operations for our youth to better understand how we function, how OC Transport functions, for example, or how clean water gets to your tap and that process. And I see the value in that, and I think seeing on the bus ride the eyes of the youth and the questions that were asked, I think it was well received, and it informs the discussion for the next couple of months in terms of what we can do and where we've gone. A little word on the youth. So we went from 200 youth coming to the Youth Summit Action Plan, and now we have about 15 on the engagement committee, and I have to say that it's youth that are engaged, that want to give us good advice, that want to give us the way they see things in the city and how we can improve. And I think that the youth portal itself is a prime example. We have an amazing city website. There's a lot of information, and youth felt lost on that website. And having that portal now is a one-stop shop for all that we have on the website that reflects the youth needs. So I've said enough. I'll let Clara, Sarah, and Gabrielle share with us some of the initiatives.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fleury. It's a pleasure this morning to be at the same table with both Sarah and Gabrielle, who are amazing young people, young women, who are so dedicated to moving forward the youth voice here at City Hall and amongst the staff group. So thanks for being here. I'm going to provide just a very quick technical update in terms of our performance on the action plan, and then Sarah and Gabrielle are going to provide you with some highlights of the actual actions that have been completed to date. So the Youth Summit Action Plan was created, developed out of the Youth Summit report. So Conseiller Fleury just spoke about the Youth Summit. There was a full report created from all reflecting the feedback that we received from young people at the summit. That report was presented to staff. Staff developed an action plan based on the actions that could be achieved directly from that feedback and input, and from that we validated that action plan with youth, brought it forward to you, the CPS committee, and then to council. It was approved unanimously in May of last year, and since that time lots of activity has taken place. That included 31 actions in that plan, over 10 city departments, so quite an effort. That would represent probably over a dozen city staff that have been working over the last year on implementing that plan, a couple of whom are here today. So kudos go out to all of our colleagues across the corporation. The plan had 19 actions for completion in 2013, 4 actions slated for completion in 2014, and 8 actions that were to be completed across both years. And this slide provides you with a bit of as of December 2013 where we landed. So well on our way to completing everything. We are in completion or in progress on the majority of items. At the end of 2013, 12 of the actions were completed, 5 remained in progress, and 2 had their start dates deferred. Those were the volunteer strategy youth field and Crime Stoppers safety campaign, and both the first was delayed because the Ottawa Youth Committee was just launched in February, so they wanted to wait to have the Youth Committee up and feeding into that input, so that's now underway and set to be completed at the end of this quarter. And Crime Stoppers had some organizational issue that they were dealing with. Ottawa Police Service is working on that activity, and now it's well underway. 2014 actions, 4 in progress, and of the combined actions, 8 are in progress, and in fact 4 were actually completed or exceeded their targets in 2013. And some of the actions that were in progress and had to be continued over into the first quarter of 2014 are now on track to be completed. For example, the youth portal that Conseiller Fleury spoke about just a moment ago. So with that short technical update, I want to hand the mic over to Sarah Minanen, who is going to provide you with some examples of some of the work that we've collectively done together.
Thank you, Clara, and it's been a pleasure, absolutely, to be to participate and report on the actions that have taken place, but also to be working with fantastic City of Ottawa staff, such as yourself, and the City of Ottawa team, as well as Councillor Fleury and all the councillors that have been part of this. I would like to report on some of the accomplishments up to date. So I was at the summit, and I can definitely say that the concrete actions that are taken by the city correspond with exactly what the youth were talking about and discussing. So, for example, at the youth summit, they talked. It was discussed that youth need an opportunity to gain practical skills and network and develop those skills, and as a result, a new monthly labor information workshop was created and delivered to over 158 youth and 10 employment services staff. And also a new Microsoft Suite training program was created, and 40 youth attended and the 2 employment preparation sessions to learn more about the summer employment opportunities at the City of Ottawa. The other thing that was a highlight of the Youth Summit was that social media is super important to the lives of youth. So as a result, there's been a greater focus in placing more social media and improving the social media connection between the youth and the City of Ottawa. So the youth hashtag was used 45 times in various promotional campaigns. The city's corporate communications department created an online magazine for Ottawa.ca and added a youth lens to the communication plan template staff used to ensure youth are considered as part of the communications initiatives. Both the Ottawa Police Services and the Ottawa Public Health are using social media to engage, such as Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Pinterest. In 2003, the Ottawa Police Service had 228 tweets, 67 followers on the Twitter account, and 309 followers on Facebook. In 2013, Ottawa Public Health sent over 75 social media messages. So just to give you an idea of the scope and the outreach that social media has had in the City of Ottawa for youth. At the Youth Summit, the youth also spoke about safety and gaining a better understanding of the roles of transit in particular. So as a result, in 2013, Transit Services provided 17 presentations on transit safety, and an impressive 2,880 youth attendee were in attendance. So transit, a highlight of the Youth Summit, was also addressed. Youth spoke about health services and the need for information about health matters. Youth also spoke about wanting to be involved and engaged in decision-making. As a result, Ottawa Public Health held 48 youth committee meetings in high schools where youth work on health promotion initiatives for their school. In May and June 2013, the housing branch of the Community and Social Services Department conducted 3 focus groups in partnership with homeless youth, youth in transitional housing, and youth at risk of losing their housing, about housing services supports for youth. The findings of these focus groups were shared with partner agencies and are being used to inform broader needs and assessment of homeless services in the sector. The report is also informing the implementation plans of the city's 10-year housing plan. There's also a particular concern among youth about rural outreach and how do we really reach out the youth who aren't in the city. and they're in rural communities. The city's Rural Affairs Office published 5 articles in a new Youth Corner section of its Rural Connections newsletter. And just 2 days ago, we launched, of course, the City of Ottawa's Youth Portal. And it's absolutely fantastic and is really easy to access, and it really bridges the gap between the youth across the city. So it's a fantastic, fantastic tool, and it's all the information presented to youth across the city. And finally, the volunteering and mentoring were major topics at the summit. Now, the city has reviewed its volunteer application process, forms, and volunteer strategy to ensure that it's youth-friendly, and volunteering information is now on the youth portal. And additionally, a corporate youth mentorship program was developed to promote the city's diverse career opportunities and to offer youth already participating in other city mentorship programs and with progressive opportunities to develop their career goals. And the program will be launched in the second quarter of 2014. And that's just a brief overview of what has gone on. It has been an absolutely amazing journey, and I'm sure we will continue to accomplish wonderful things together, and I know the youth are super excited about the outcomes that have been reached so far with the Youth Summit Action Plan. And I'll pass it off to Gabrielle, who is also a member of the Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee.
Thanks, Sarah and Clara and Mathieu, for all your updates and background information on the Youth Summit and all the steps that have been taken so far. I also wanted to just say that it's been really, really encouraging. I've been engaged as a young adult for a while in many different areas, and often youth get tokenized. However, at this setting, we're not tokenized at all. We're equal players, and we're very much acknowledged for our leadership and work in the communities. So I wanted to acknowledge that, and also the city's genuine support for the local Aboriginal community. All right, so I'm going to update you guys really quickly on OYEC. So that's the short term for the Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee. Some people have also been using the hashtag OYEC on Twitter. The Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee held its inaugural meeting on February 5th, 2014. And the committee is made up of 15 to 17 youth from a variety of backgrounds, demographics, and ages, 15 to 25. It has met several times to learn more about city services, establish its terms of reference, and work plan. The committee is also advising city staff on the implementation of the Youth Summit Action Plan, such as the Corporate Youth Mentorship Program, the brochure on city jobs, and the new youth portal. Councillor Mathieu Fleury is the council representative for this committee, as well as Mayor Jim Watson occasionally stops by and offers his guidance and support. We participated in a fantastic tour of some of the city services recently and are building our knowledge of what the city can do to support youth. So there's a few pictures of our last meeting and retreat at Ottawa U, and we also did a bus tour where we got to see how OC Transpo works at their head office, how traffic lights work at the traffic operation building, and how the water treatment plant at Britannia operates. So our next steps of the OYEC committee is staff will continue to implement the action plan. The Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee will work throughout 2014 to monitor and assist city staff in the implementation of the Youth Summit Action Plan. The committee will also plan 2 youth engagement activities to outreach to youth across the city and promote civic engagement with the City of Ottawa. Volunteering opportunities in councillors' offices will be established in the first quarter of 2015. In the meantime, staff will continue to work with Councillor Fleury and OYEC to finalize the project's details and prepare for implementation. Staff will also work to promote other volunteering opportunities in the city. The Cellphone Robbery Prevention Campaign will launch on April 24th, 2014. The purpose of the campaign is to raise awareness about cell phone robbery, how to prevent cell phone robbery, and what to do should this occur. The Corporate Youth Mentorship Program is expected to launch in the second quarter of 2014. And finally, the city is doing a job shadowing initiative for City of Ottawa summer students. This program will launch in the summer of 2014. Thank you, and I'll give it back to Clara for any questions that may arise.
Thank you, Gabrielle and Sarah, for that awesome presentation, and we're happy to take questions.
Members of the committee, are there any questions for any of the presenters this morning? No? Well, thank you very much, and congratulations. You've done a lot of work in a fairly short period of time, and I know that with Councillor Fleury's passion, used as gasoline to put on the fire, with all of your passion combined, I'm sure you're going to do great things and create a wonderful path for youth in our city. So thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to come down this morning. Members of the committee, may we receive this report? Received. Thank you very much. With that, there are no in-camera items this morning. Are there any notices of motion for consideration at subsequent meetings? Seeing none, any inquiries? Other business? And we are adjourned. Next meeting of our committee will be Thursday, the 15th of May. Thank you very much.